Hello, and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Works show, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. This week's topic, discipline or commitment. What's the difference? We are coming to you live on newstreamingnetwork.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. If you like our content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hey, hi everybody. Every week, Judy and I sit here and share our stories and how we deal and strive and the challenges and hoping to help us and you as well find some peace. And we do this in unconditional acceptance and love. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So if you're able, we appreciate any tax-deductible donations to help us pay for operating expenses. You can go to our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. Click on the donate button in the top or the bottom of the page and donate. Thank you.
Yes, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, my goodness. And now I will bring us in. I need an extra dose of that today.
Yeah. Yes. All right.
It really helps.
Now we can rock and roll. Everybody's here. They're grounded now. Now we can rock and roll with some good news.
You bet. My good news story for this week has to do with a little part of me that I don't think I've shared too much, and actually just realizing that I'm a feminist. And I saw this and I said, I'm going to have to share this one with the show. Over to you, Silverio.
Deep down the left field line toward the corner, and this ball is going to be. Oh, it's caught! It's not Jake Wald. That's the ball girl. Jake Wald in left field. Can't believe it. And look, she shows him up. She just sort of tosses him the ball, saying, "Take that, Jake. I don't see you making the effort." Alfonso, the catcher, he can't believe it. Let's look at that replay. Oh, my. What an amazing play.
Did you see the ball woman catch that ball?
Yeah, I mean, and that was an older clip. That looks like before parkour was a big thing. She did some parkour there to get up high enough to get that ball. That was awesome.
Yeah. And what's, again, always striking is how everyone's so surprised. The catcher was surprised. And it's funny is the effort she made. It's really pretty incredible. And the player didn't do that. I'm surprised they don't sign her up after this. What you should.
I know. No, and she looked like she did it every single day because it was very smooth moves getting up that high to get that ball.
Unbelievable. Gotta love her.
Fantastic. Girl power. Woohoo.
Woman power. Don't forget. I know. See, I definitely am a feminist. It's funny because I said to my granddaughter, I got those. I don't know if I said this story before, but I got these socks. And it says, this is what a feminist looks like. And they were free. So I grabbed a bunch. And Adriana, of course, my granddaughter wanted some. So I gave her some. And she didn't, I said, do you know what that means? And she's like, no. And I got to go into teaching her, about feminism. And, I'm glad that she doesn't have to know so much about what feminism is. But, my grown daughter, who's in her 30s, really too, she didn't have to live it. I'm like, my grandmother couldn't vote when she was young.
Yeah.
This is our lifetime. But anyways.
Well, there was a lot of stuff coming up on social media, I don't know, a couple months ago about things like this. Like a woman couldn't have her own credit card without her husband signing for it. And, they're like, how long ago do you think that was? And people are like, oh, the 30s, the 40s. No, it was up until the mid 80s. that women
Oh
couldn't
my gosh.
own their own businesses. They couldn't have their own credit cards. They couldn't own their own homes. They needed their
Yes.
husbands or somebody to sign for them. So yeah, it's very interesting. We have generations that don't understand that. And I'm sure I don't understand it as deeply as my mother did or my grandmother
Exactly.
did,
Yeah.
because we've had rights our lifetime, our entire lifetime. And, you know, I'm sure they probably taught those things in school, but, you know, when you have them already, you don't pay much attention sometimes because of all the other distractions of
Yeah.
those facts.
It's true. And even in the workplace, which I remember when I was in college, I had an internship somewhere in place X. And I was doing public relations intern, which is pretty awesome. But we went into this photo room. What do you call those rooms? Yeah, we develop photos, and because it was back then, and it was a man, and he would go up against me, and he'd rub my chest against his elbow in that, and I remember I was telling my daughter this in the 30s, and it's like so foreign to her. I was like, yeah, in the workplace there was that kind of thing. Yeah. And I remember that this other intern, same thing happened to her. And we actually went to the commissioner and filed a complaint. And of course, he wasn't fired or anything. He wasn't. They told us that he wouldn't get any more interns.
Oh, okay.
So we've come a long way. But I remember the day, and I don't even remember as well as like others.
Exactly. So yes, the good news is we've come a long way.
We got this.
Yes, we do. All right, moving right along to our weekly affirmation. Attitude is everything, my friends. And Janice has picked a very appropriate and crisp and clean are the terms I'm hearing. Crisp and clean weekly affirmation for you all this week.
I am most confident and comfortable when I am being my authentic self.
Yes.
Actually, I made part of that up myself. It was a little short one, and I added confident because it just said I am most comfortable. But not only am I most comfortable, I'm most confident because that the voices and the chaos and that it's so much less or not at all when you're being your authentic self. So it might be that people don't understand or it's new to them. So then, when you start a new behavior, they kind of, they'll try to get you back to your old one or whatever. But you can, no, this is how I really feel. And when you can say that, it's so great.
Very empowering. It's very empowering. Yeah. And, I find it takes much less energy. If I show up as my authentic self, my true self, and I'm not trying to put on a show or make sure people like me or they're comfortable, it takes a lot of energy to cater to everyone else.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out to me by a teacher of mine years ago. As I've said before, I'm a recovering people pleaser. But, we used to call it the hot seat. She would do one-on-ones with us in these circles, and everybody else is in the circle. And she called it the chair of love. We called it the hot seat.
Yeah, okay.
And you'd sit across from her, and she would basically give you a reading. And and she looked at me and said, "So what makes you think you have the power to make other people happy?" And I was like, well, I like to fix problems for people. But, I go through this whole dissertation about how it made sense in my head. And she goes, well, we think it's rather arrogant of you to think you have the power to make other people happy. And I was like,
wow.
I got really triggered by the word arrogant. And I was like, I don't know that arrogant is the right appropriate term for it. And she says, well, isn't it? Because it's the arrogance in the power you feel you held over other people.
Wow.
Make them happy. And I was like, I walked away from that one still bent because I had to work with the word arrogant.
Because that's a judgmental word.
Yes, arrogance meant, you were smarter and better than everybody, and you carried this air about you where you look down your nose. And I was like, that is not me. People wouldn't, and I even said to her, people would not describe me as arrogant.
What did she say to that? Did she understand she was triggering you?
She said, well, maybe you need to sit with this word a little bit and understand what it really means. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's the kind of teacher I had and the one I wanted, because she got right to exactly about it, and then you work with it. And
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I sat with it and I was like, you know what? It is arrogant for us to think that we have the power to make people feel comfortable, make people happy. Not only is it arrogant, but it's not our job. It's not
but
our
I
job.
Can. But I can give people. I use that tool. There's a period in my life where I was, oh, they're talking about me, or I'm no good, or look at that. Oh no, I'm going to get fired, or that kind of fearful thinking.
Huh?
And what I did with myself one time, it kind of worked. Is I said, really, do you think you're that important that people are talking about you? And that really helped me to stop thinking people were talking about me, because they're like, as if I'm not important that they're talking about me.
Hey, that's a way to get you to pause and see it through a different perspective.
Oh, shoot.
Now, the only thing we would say is change that wording to, do they not have enough of their own things to be considered, to be worried about? Why are they worried about me or focused on me? Yeah. We're going to talk about today in
that's true.
Meet the show. But yeah, that voice of, what makes you think you're important enough for people to think about you?
Yeah. It worked.
Hey, it's the things that give us pause.
Oh.
So yeah, perfect. I love that affirmation so much, because it's so true. So true. And the more you do it, it's like, I know Janice has experienced this too. The more you show up in your true authentic self, you realize how good it feels. You realize that when you leave, you're not completely, totally drained of your energy, because you were just you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say, it's contagious.
Yes. And like I was saying to you earlier, is look at, see, I let myself be worried I wasn't going to remember, and now I'm forgetting. But okay. Yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday. I got it put in a trigger place, the old habits place, and I just went right straight to my granddaughter was upset, and I just sucked right into her energy and her feelings, and thinking, okay, I upset her. How I was controlling her mood and purpose and being. And so it took me a while to be able to get over that. It took a lot of trying, because, she's old enough now that I can't keep enabling her to not get the tools she needs to develop to take care of herself. So this is kind of, again, how I twist it around, but it's true, which is, I can't take this on, because she's got to she's old enough now. She's got to take this on, and she's got to learn the skills and develop them. All I can do is model it. Well, I learned that after, but yay. Thanks, she. Love this. Great way to shift your mindset.
Yeah. Another big thing with that was, my realization of, by me being the fix-it and me, making sure Maddie doesn't get hurt or she's not upset or anything like that, it makes them incapable of doing exactly what you just said. It prevents them the opportunity of learning the tools on their own and experiencing things and understanding their own power. So that was a big shift in perspective for me too.
Yeah, and the best thing you can do is, model it. If I can model, if I could have been there and then not got sucked in and just say, okay, what kind of things can we do? And just try to, if you were to be your true self, how do you really, I don't know, but it was a great opportunity that hopefully next time I'll take.
Well, and we say it over and over again, everything starts with awareness. So you having the awareness, now sets the energy for you having a different response.
Yeah.
We did the show reacting versus responding. Reacting is that pattern. And you and I were both saying our kids are our biggest challenge. Our kids are our biggest challenge. And my daughter's the same way. If I can put myself first before her, then I can do it with anybody. She's my biggest teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and the one who can help teach us.
Yes.
Because I'm at a good place right now where maybe I can try to do that at that time and use the skills that I'm learning and trying to develop to turn that into something where I can model and help her for real by helping her help herself,
Exactly.
modeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And awareness is the first step. So you having that awareness, again, the energy's already there for a different response next time.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, you got to do your little hands, that your audience clapping thing.
All right. Let's scooch along to Pearls of Wisdom. What's our Pearls of Wisdom for the week? We talk a lot about the chaos in our heads and in our homes and around the world. And peace is the one thing I keep hearing over and over and over again. When we can find our peace within ourselves, that peace starts to reflect out. So our Pearl of Wisdom has to do with peace again. Peace comes when you realize everything that's outside of your control should be outside of your mind too. Yeah.
So
that's
now, what are your ideas when you're in that moment that I can do to get out of that mindset?
The biggest thing, and it was funny, we were at a goddess circle this weekend, and this came up too. When I get to that chaotic point, and I can't make anything make sense, I sit down and I actually write a list. What I can control and what I can't control. And then what I can't control, sometimes I'll light that bitch on fire. I'll burn it. Other times I ball it up and throw it away. But those things that I can't control, I send love to everybody involved in it. I pray for their highest and greatest good, and then I let it go. And being a recovering people pleaser and fixer, that was huge. It was huge because I identified as those two things. So without that, who am I? So I'm sitting there with these list of things that I can control. I'm like, okay, well, what the hell do I do about that now?
I work in the job that I get paid for. I work in human services. And yesterday was quite the day. We started off with, well, we might not have any money to pay you. We don't know what's going to happen. Energy. And fortunately, I'm getting close to retirement. I'm thinking, no, my worst case scenario, well, I guess I could retire and collect unemployment, Social Security. And it was pretty crazy. And I really worked on, okay, with the government, with the courts, with the rest of the house or whatever, let us not get paid and lose all. I tried. Okay, I can't control this. There are good people, loving out there. Probably this is going to work out. But, when you're in that and you're like, especially a livelihood, you think, oh no, what am I going to do? And of course, by the end of the day, it's been rescinded and, everything's going to be okay. But there are now perfect examples how with the chaos and the messaging, do you keep the peace?
Yeah.
So, that's
one of the things
we all need.
Yes. Repeating to myself and to my daughter, remember, it's temporary. It's temporary. A lot of stuff that's being thrown out there is to get reaction. So if you can pause and trust that it's temporary, this is temporary, let's write it out and see where it goes, then we are in that space of being open to hear all of the information that's coming in, trusting that all is going to be well, And when there's an action step that we are meant to take, it becomes very clear to us.
Yeah.
It's
Because
yes, no, it's a not yet.
we can't do anything about it.
No, we can't. And feeding that energy into the fear is exactly where wherever it's easier to control people that are in fear, fight or flight, because we can't think clearly. So if everybody can pause and just let it all play out, keep reminding yourself that this is temporary, this too shall pass, because the only thing consistent in life is that it's temporary. Everything is always changing. The good is temporary. The bad is temporary. It's all temporary.
Yep.
So breathe, find that peaceful place within you. Trust that it's all going to play out as it should.
It's kind of easier the older you get because, I remember heck, the school budget cut, $1 million budget cut, everything was going to get cut. I remember in other times when the government, the governor was going to cut everything, and it never ends up being what it is.
No.
And so it helps when you're older and you have the historical experience of knowing, as if they're not going to stop, paying. How many people are paid by federal dollars? Millions, as if they're going to stop paying millions of people today. So,
exactly.
You can't control it. It's, too big, not going to happen.
Yeah. And you can't control it. Give it the space to do what it needs to do, and you focus on you. And that's the greatest advice anybody can give in these times right now is go within and focus on you. Find that peace within yourself. Get yourself right with yourself. Love yourself. Be kind, gentle, compassionate, because these are the things that we need to see outside in the world. And when we can be those things for ourselves, it's a piece of cake to be that for others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. You know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said, who says we can't make the world a better place?
Absolutely.
Just by starting with ourselves and sharing it with those around us.
I'll say, not in my world. That's not going to happen in my world.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So I think actually we're going to take a break now and go to commercial, and we'll be back with Pathways to Peace. There it is. And we're back to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Works show. Our topic today is discipline or commitment. What's the difference? Yeah. So it's funny.
You know what I just thought? I think I part of me wanted to avoid this topic, which is why I think I felt free to talk an awful lot more in the beginning part. Whoa.
Yeah, when this topic came to me, I was like, oh, well, that's interesting because, there are words in my life that represent one thing to me and may not represent the same thing to other people. So discipline and commitment are two words that energetically feel very different to me. And so we're going to dig into that a little bit. And we figured we start with what's the formal definition of each word. So, perfect. Discipline. Discipline is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Okay. And then commitment, the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc.
As opposed to, you need to be committed to this. No, it's, I feel committed. It's a state of mind as opposed to you got to be committed, which is discipline.
Yeah. So, Janice was like, okay, so what exactly are we going to be talking about today? And the next slide was for those people that are listening don't see, it has discipline in like a thought bubble, but it's all spiky. And then commitment is more like in a puffy cloud, because to me,
we need the next slide.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, this isn't spiky. So Vero, we're actually on the next slide, even though it sounds like the same one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. So to me, growing up, discipline always felt like a very spiky word to me. I was put on a diet when I was in 3rd grade. So everything was, you need to be disciplined. You need to do this. You need to do that. And if not, you're going to stay fat. You're going to stay this. You're going to stay that. You're not losing weight. You lack discipline. Those are those are the experiences I've had with the word discipline. Now, I was also an athlete and became a teacher, and all these things where consistent work paid off. The effort paid off. But in my mind, I could never call it discipline, because discipline meant I could fail. Discipline meant punishment. And it wasn't punishment so much from anybody else. It was punishment from me. It was that voice in my head that would berate and beat me up and shame and blame. So when I started to use the word commitment, I'm making a commitment to myself, then energetically it felt better to me. Yeah. So I know. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I pause because when I think of discipline, my first reaction is like when you discipline a child or people who hit children or abuse children. So my immediate perception of discipline was so negative. So I was thinking, what? But this is way different than that. Another perception, which I think is more appropriate. Well, we can talk about it a little more in a minute, where I see commitment as I'm just going to say, like, for work, for example, I got to work. I work from home, so it can be challenging to actually get myself to go. And it's like, well, Janice, you need to have discipline. You need to sit down, and you need to do every morning. And you should sit down and do this, and it becomes a struggle where commitment.
There's that voice that beats you up. Should.
Exactly. And commitment is like this job, because I don't get paid for this. I do this because I hope that I'm making a difference to somebody or people out there. And hey, all right, it's show day.
Yeah. And so, and then when Janice and I were talking about this in the pregame meeting, we started to talk about the energy of the words that we choose. And more, it's very important to pay attention to the words that we use, because Janice is, she was talking about how difficult it can be to work from home, and then berating herself because she needs more discipline. I have to do this. I have to do that. And yes, we need to earn money to pay the bills. We hope that we're doing a job that we love, and it's our purpose and our passion and all those wonderful things. The reality is, a lot of us hold jobs because they pay the bills, and we do our passion projects on the side. So that whole, I have to get up and go to work, I have to do this, I have to do that. The reality is, yes, that's where we are right now. So, I learned to ask, okay, if I need to do this, if I have to do this, help me do it with a happy heart. And one of the ways to switch the energy of it is, I'm choosing to do this, because it allows me the finances I need in order to sustain the life I want. The energy of that is very different than, I have to go to work today. I have to do work today. I'm choosing to do this because it supports the life that I aspire to have.
What's interesting too for me is discipline. Like, when we're thinking about work, I've had time in my jobs where I really didn't like them. I probably should have left them. And but I went every day. And I think also what that does is it brings out my shutdown, because I was thinking, how could I have gone to work every day in that kind of not being my authentic self? And it's like, I think I was just in the shutdown place, because
Yeah.
That is the opposite of the commitment place, right? Because you're committed, you're present, you love doing it, as opposed to it's something I got to do. I don't want to feel depressed. I don't want to feel angry. So I shut it out.
Mhm.
And it, that's, I think, how it worked.
It's that survival technique. And we didn't know different.
Yeah.
We didn't know any different. We had spent our lives showing up and being what people needed us to be, not knowing what we needed us to be.
Mm.
And now we've done a lot of work.
If your core belief is that you're a good person and you make a difference to people, which, see, still that. But I used to think I had to be a certain way or do a certain thing or react a certain way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. It's an interesting shift when you're part of your self perception or value is that you help people, and how can it not be a discipline, and how can it not be negative? Why is it negative? Just going through that whole process of, okay, I don't get it. How is my wanting to be a good person not being true to myself? But it's that shift. I guess maybe you could say it's a shift to the commitment part, because you're going from you being yourself, but I'm true to myself. But my true self does like to help people. That switching was so hard. I still find myself in the gray, where how can I think that I'm not living my best life, or fulfilled life, rather, I'll say that, when my purpose on earth is just to help people. But there's a whole level of that, which you're being authentic, and then it reaches more and reaches deeper. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to that arrogance, because in my uneducated way, I thought being the fixer and the people pleaser was how I was helping people. But what it turns out was, no, it wasn't helping them, and it wasn't helping me, because I'm going and pleasing and fixing, and it doesn't allow them the opportunity to self-regulate.
Or it's a short-term fix. Like, exactly. I might make my granddaughter not be upset at that moment, but I haven't let her or allowed her to find a way for her to do it herself. Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. It becomes that codependent, and I would have never described myself as codependent, but that's what it turns into, a codependent relationship, because something happens, I can't fix it. I'm going to call Judy, because Judy fixes everything. So there it is. I get to go in and save the day, and it denied them the opportunity to find the solutions on their own.
Not to say that you shouldn't be there for them, but I guess when you're being there for them, it's more of a listening and letting them reflect, and accepting and supporting and not judging, and letting them grow through it, as opposed to you being the martyr. I can save her.
Exactly. It's more about holding the space and guiding and supporting as they find their way. And, having the confidence in the fact, talking about being the example, the healing that you've done, you're setting the example for the people around you, that if there's a trigger out there, it's nobody else's responsibility to make me happy. That's on me. When we start taking responsibility for how we show up in the world, it shifts everything, because we are taking ownership of our own lives. We're starting to believe that we really do create our reality, and we have the power to shift the outer expression of our lives by shifting the inner expression.
It's like the closer to peace you go, the better, more authentic, more thorough, more deeper you are able to give to people. I don't know. It's something like that, it feels.
No, that's absolutely true. Because when we're in that space of peace, we're present, and my connection to my higher self and my connection to source is so much clearer. When things start getting chaotic and I feel like I need to go fix everything gets real staticky. That's when I know I'm out of alignment. I know that I've overstepped, and I need to pull back. When things get staticky and unclear, I need to pull back and go within.
Yeah, like yesterday when I was so short with my granddaughter, I just wasn't being centered in that. So Yeah.
Yes. And it's a process. It's a process. And the real challenge for us, Janice, is giving ourselves grace when we realize that we weren't able to show up in that place of peace. It's a process. We are unlearning patterns that we were literally born into this lifetime with. So we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to give ourselves grace.
Yeah, that non-judgment, unconditional acceptance. That's, I know when we started Masterful You groups, I've experienced for the first time I unknowingly experienced or consciously experienced that unconditional acceptance, because it was, I am okay. That was just something.
Yeah. And at first you don't trust it. Like, are these people real? Is this for real? Is it safe for me to be me? Because I don't even know who me is.
Yeah.
You know, you spend a lot of time thinking, okay, so what mask do I need to put on here? And then you realize that they're not needed. We are here to find out who you are as you find out who you are. Yeah. So
you know, another thing that came up for me with this topic is, because I'm in that feminism kind of place in my brain today, is I'm going to talk about this in terms of sister wives. I am not going to recap it. That's not my goal. I wouldn't watch it at the beginning because I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, they don't have any the feelings of what they deserve. I hated the show. But when they started to have problems, this became my guilty pleasure. But it was a little deeper than that. Like a hope. I like to think that for me, because I just looked at the roles of women in that it was I'm just going to say in terms of I'm just going to say organization. That's the word I'm going to use. This group. And women are brought up to believe that their purpose is to marry and have children. And that if they can do this, and that this life is not supposed to be happy. This is the unhappy part. And you go to this great heavenly kingdom. And you can only go to the heavenly kingdom if you're polygamous. And a lot of it has to do with just following. You have to follow the man. He has to be the lead. It's not about you and your needs. It's about him. And you watch when you grow up like that, and that's the only message. And they do isolate, and they do other things so that a lot of people in this scenario wouldn't grow up knowing a different way. So I found that it triggers me. That's why I didn't watch it to start with. And this discipline versus commitment, as I'm watching these women, the ones that left the relationship, transform from, thinking that their purpose is to get married and have children, to thinking that they have rights and they have beliefs and they are where they need to be. It's so empowering. I love to watch that. I love to, because, they just don't know any better. They didn't know any better. And now they're coming into their own, realizing they have needs and they have rights, and they have the right to feel good about themselves. They have the right to have control over their lives. They have these rights. It's just, so I just thought of the discipline that made me think of the way that, some people, some families, some groups grow up, strict discipline. You have to be sweet. You have to be kind. You have to be, that's how you have to be. And as opposed to the commitment when it's realizing you play a role in this and you matter, and you're being yourself matters in this bigger picture.
Yeah. No, okay. That's beautiful. What a great way to articulate the energy behind the words, how I process them as well. For me, as you were saying, it became really clear that discipline is like an external force saying you need to, at least this is how I'm interpreting it. And then commitment, like that's the commitment to me. That's me making a commitment to me, not external forces telling me that I need to be some kind of way or do some kind of thing. It's me making a commitment to myself. Yeah.
And it's interesting. These ladies, two of them for sure, actually like have followings. And I don't mean that in any kind of weird way, just because they're finding themselves and they're becoming strong in themselves, and they are making a difference now that they're finding themselves. One of them is actually, she's doing talks. I mean, I don't know what they look like. I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I'm just saying that she's able to, finding herself, give and grow. And she came from such a bad place and into where she is now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, empowerment is beautiful. And, the energy. I just keep hearing we need to touch base again on the energy. Pay attention to the energy of words and how they feel to you. I don't remember who said it, but I wrote it down. Ask yourself this question: is my self-talk promoting my growth or feeding my limitations? And I was like, wow, that's a great question. So the of the words you use when you're speaking to yourself always and what you're projecting out into the universe, into the world, is this, promoting the life that I want to have, or is it feeding my limitations? And
so kind of like the word should, if I'm saying should or shouldn't, that's that's my negative self-talk. That's the negative energy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should yourself.
Yep. I get it.
Yeah, I was sharing a funny story with Janice when we were growing up. My mom, if you watch the show, my mom had weight issues. And the F word, we had 2 F words in our house, and fat was one of them. So nobody could say that. And then we went, yes, I'm aging myself, back in the 80s, in the late 1900s, when fat became a slang term.
The PH word.
Yes, PHAT, to mean something's good. Boy, was that an adjustment in our house, because fat was the one thing that was going to get your face smacked. So, yeah, the energy of those 2 words, fat was FAT, was used as an insult, to degrade people and shame people. And then this slang term comes out, maybe spelled different, but said the same. And now it means good. That's a mind.
Yeah.
That's that's like, wait, what?
I had a hard time with that.
Yes, needless to say, we still didn't use that slang in our house.
Oh, well, I remember when, was it my grandchild? It must have been my son-in-law said it or something. The first time I heard it. And it's funny because how a word can have energy. And it's like for you and I, fat, it still isn't a positive thing, whether you spell it with a PH or an F. It's not when you look at the word, that energy is, bad. I'm bad. I'm fat. I'm, you just, bad is fat, ugly, moo. And, that's the energy of that word to me.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because the energy in how you say the words too also plays. I used to, when my daughter was little, I'd always be like, look, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because she would do something, we'd do the timeout thing. And then of course you have to have the child apologize. And she would be like, I'm sorry. Like, your face is not telling me you are. The energy is not telling me you're truly sorry.
True.
Yeah. Things said in sarcasm. I can say, Janice, you look great today. Janice, you look great today.
Yeah. Oh, see that eye movement?
2 different messages.
Oh man, you mean I don't look good? What? What is it? My hair? I tried base.
You look marvelous. So yes, words carry energy. How you say them carries the energy. Make sure your words and your energy are aligning. And if you have a word that is said that makes you bajiggity, start digging into it and ask yourself why. Why does that word trigger me? And what word would you prefer to use? And it always starts with you, this self-talk, this mirror work. How are you speaking to yourself? Are you speaking to yourself in kind and loving words and energy? Because the biggest gift we can give ourselves right now going through these crazy times is grace. Give yourself grace.
It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel all the feelings.
Absolutely. We are here to feel all of the feels. You are not your emotions, though. Remember that. We're very used to saying, I am sad. You are not your emotion. You're feeling sadness. I am feeling sadness. I am feeling sadness because.
That's good. It's just a little shift made for me on that. Yeah.
Good. Yes, we are not our emotions. They are an expression. So treat them as such. Honor them, allow them to flow. Everything is temporary. And on that note, we got to wrap it up.
Yes, you do.
All right. We want to thank you for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
you are not alone.
And don't ever forget, you are awesome. If you like what we're doing, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.